we've got a few questions here. Some of them are from last week's session on A level as well, but they're just as relevant for AS as they are for A2. So we've included the first 4, and then we've got some new ones that are just for AS. If you have any questions, please send them in. We'll probably do more shows like this and try and answer the questions as a written document, but also probably as a video if they're needed. So here's question 1 then. How do you submit component 1 and 2 on the 15th of May? And as just said, that will very much depend on the administrative guide. And you can download and look at that each year. And like I say, it won't be published till after September. I'm not really sure at this point what time. You just have to keep an eye on the Pearson website. So yeah, the administrative guide support there, and that could change each year. I thought that students no longer needed music theory to complete this course. That is true, but I think it would be fairly impossible to complete this course without some knowledge of harmony, some knowledge of being able to read music and actually participate in music of some form. So I wouldn't cancel that out completely, and I feel that some students will definitely need that. Is it possible to switch from AS to A level at the end of at the end of AS, or vice versa? So yes, you can switch from AS to A level, but you will need to submit the required components. So the components do have to be from the appropriate time. So you wouldn't be able to submit your AS work as A level and vice versa, as they will be very different. What about AS or A level retakes? Is this going to be a problem? I think this will be a problem. It looks to me like the qualification is made up of all 4 components as a whole, rather than being broken down into 4 separate components. And it looks to me like the components have to be from the same year of qualification. So if you're taking the exam May 18, June 18, you will have to take them from the publications of June and September 17. And doing the retake will probably mean that you have to do the whole 4 components again. We will get further clarification on that from Jeffrey Hull, who's our advisor. So we'll just hold tight on that one, and we'll try and post it below. Can you record component 1 using professional musicians? You have to be careful about this. So you have to use your own facilities, and you're not allowed professional guidance when your student has to be in complete control of setting up the equipment and recording, mixing, processing. That being said, I see no reason why you couldn't hire in musicians to play the song. The student doesn't have to be involved in that part of actually playing, but the musicians that you hire would not be allowed to inform the process of recording. So just be very aware of that. And actually, just to refer back to that one, that's something I do. I do get musicians in, and I normally only record 1 song with all my students. So if I've got 10 students, they all record the same song. You are not allowed to use the same takes. Every student has to be in control of their own take. So don't get that confused. So they have to be in control of their own take. They're not allowed to share parts or anything like that. But it does make it a lot easier if you just record 1 song, or 2 songs. That might not work for everyone. Most people might think, oh, well, that might be cheating or whatever. But when you think of it from a logistical point of view, if you've got your music students coming in to play the song for you, and they have to learn 10 different songs, the quality of the actual recording is the playing is going to detriment the whole process. Whereas if your music students come in and they've had 2 months on learning 1 song, they should be able to deliver it pretty consistent after that. So yeah, that's my thoughts. How does the weighting for component 3 and 4 work, and how will it affect the overall grade? Well, that is all it will affect, is the overall grade. You have to use the raw mark component 3 and 4 when you're actually working out their levels. But when it comes to predicting your students in an AS, you'll have to use the weighted grades, and that otherwise your calculations will be off by 1.25 just for those 2 components. So if you want to be accurate with those predictions, or more accurate with those predictions, you do need to apply weight at the end of once you put all 4 components together for just those components 3 and 4. that's quite a confusing area, because when you're thinking about this, the student's like, wow, I've got 60 marks and I got 50%. But if you just took those, if you took those 30 marks from 60 through to the end, that would be a whole grade down almost, just on one component. So you need to be very aware of that. Does it matter if components 1 and 2 go over the maximum time? Yes, it does. It also matters if they go under the required time. You need to read through the marks, and we will go over the marking in the next session, but you will lose lots of marks for that. How much detail needs to go into the logbook? Rather than writing loads and loads, it needs to be good information. The information that your student supplies needs to be good information rather than waffle, okay? So yes, it does need to be detailed, but it needs to be very specific, okay? So just don't write any more than you need to, and what you do write, make sure it's concise. Can my students attach photos for the recording log? Yes, but once again, you will not be able to attach additional sheets to this specification. Okay, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. I hope you found this useful. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to post them in, and we'll answer them below. And we'll probably do some extra videos for this session as we go through and edit this session as we go through, and just make sure that you have all the latest information. Next week we have areas of study, and then after that we're going to be looking at the individual components and marking and things like that. So stick with us, ask your questions, and I'll see you in the next session.